Hi friends, it's Glamrocks, and today's video is about making your own sewing setup. So by watching this video, I'm assuming that you have found, hey, I like sewing, I want to do this. So I'm going to be going through kind of what to look for in a machine and just kind of like my experience with the machines I've used versus ones I haven't used. So getting off strong, I'm going to say this. Machine is purely up to how much you're going to use it and preference. I have way different needs than probably some other people do, considering I make a lot of big poofy dresses, a lot of crinoline skirts, a lot of thick fabrics. So I need a machine that handles that. If you're looking for light everyday sewing, you might be able to get by with some of these other options just because of how little you might sew. But here's my kind of warning, cautionary tales, as well as recommendations. When to buy a machine is always assess what you're going to be using it for. So I'm going to kind of compare oranges to apples here and say I sew heavily a lot. I sew a lot of homecoming and prom style dresses. I will say though, I do primarily hand sew now, but I mean, I sew big dresses, big coats, denim, leather on machines versus my aunt who sews maybe once, twice a year to either fix a t-shirt or she'll be sewing like a Harry Potter robe for my cousin's Halloween party. She sews less than I do. She sews lighter than I do. I tend to sew more and heavier. So always like think of your needs. Okay, let's start with the basics before I get into the specific needs you will have when it comes to buying a sewing machine. So I'm going to tell you this, always get a machine with metal components, okay? Make sure those gears are metal. Otherwise you're going to have them melt and strip so much easier. And also look at the outer casing of the machine. Plastic is okay. Most machines that are modern are going to have a plastic casing. However, enamel and metal is a lot better than plastic, and I will die on that hill as someone who uses many types of machines and fixes many types of machines. If your machine overheats, it's going to melt that plastic depending on what it is, okay? If it is a metal casing, it's going to get hot, but you have a less likely chance of that melting down. I've had my Singer Heavy Duty for a year. It's fully plastic components. I've had to fix it twice. I've had to replace gears from sewing 24/7. So look at the components. Another thing to think about is electronical components. Okay, mechanical components are one thing. You can learn to fix those really easy. I mean, at my school, I've been trained into how to fix the mechanical components in most of these machines. However, electronical components do have room to glitch out and have errors, which I'm not saying this should bar you from ever having a machine with a display screen on it. I recently acquired one that does. Given it is an embroidery machine, however, I have acquired a machine with lots of components that are electronical. And that's okay, but just know you might have to find someone who specializes in such components, which most good sewing machine repair techs will actually specialize in this. But just know that might cost extra if something breaks. And this is buying new. Buying old is a whole different thing, but also it still applies. So let's get into the different types and my recommendations. Okay, light sewers. So let's say you will be sewing very little to a moderate amount. You're not gonna be sewing every day. You're not gonna be sewing super hard. However, you'll be kind of sewing maybe a cosplay every now and then. Not necessarily a big bunch of layers, but maybe you have 5 layers maximum. You know, you'll be doing a normal amount. I don't know how to explain it other than you won't be sewing every day. You won't be sewing big things every day. Maybe it's a small upcycle, just stuff like that. What I'm gonna recommend is a good home sewing machine. So I've used 3 of these. I've used some sort of Singer from the 80s. It belonged to my grandma. I don't know what it is. I'd have to call and ask the current owner of it who it is, which is just my cousin. I've used a Singer Heavy Duty. Those I wouldn't necessarily recommend unless you're going to be super light sewing, but those cost $400 for plastic mechanics and gears. I'm not saying it's a bad machine, but I've had so many issues with that machine in the small time I've had it. And yes, I get it. They come in so many pretty colors. But I've gotten to the point where I'm replacing the plastic ones with just metal ones and hoping to God it doesn't I'm saying this as someone who struggles and sews a lot though. So take that with a grain of salt. But I've yet to hear a lot of good things about Singer Heavy Duties other than, oh, they're great if you want to do light. But to me personally, if you're going to be sewing that light and you're buying a $400 machine, Sorry, mine was $500. I would rather just try to find a secondhand machine, that can run you like 100. I got a secondhand one for 40. Another good kind of light to moderate machine is a Rachel Baby Lock. I think they discontinued the Rachels or they renamed them something else. I can't remember which one, but these are ones I use a lot. I repair these a lot at school. These are what my school personally uses to get the kids started. They're pretty great. They do have an electronical component to it though, I will say that. However, that's not a big issue. I don't have a lot of issues with them. They're pretty decent. They have a 3-speed system. They have a lot of different choices for, oh my god, English. For like the stitches, they have decorative ones, they have normal ones. So if you're looking for a little bit more in a machine, I'd look at a Baby Lock. And then there are the Brother machines our school has. I don't know the exact make and model, but they are like the standard home sewing ones. We get donated a lot of machines. I'm kind of in charge of fixing them and make sure they run. But we have a lot of them. Those are pretty good. We use them a lot when our Baby Lock Rachels are down, or maybe we're hosting a sewing camp and don't necessarily have a lot of machines. We use those a lot. They're pretty good. They hold up really well to light, moderate sewing. So honestly, what I recommend is a older Singer. I would never go heavy duty really. A Baby Lock, a Brother, and if really you are going to be sewing barely, if any at all, a heavy duty. But with how much you're spending, I'm just going to say, hey, buy secondhand. Okay, let's say you're going moderate to heavy, not necessarily industrial sewing, but more moderate. I'm going to say a Baby Lock Accomplish is good. It is a straight stitch machine. I don't know if they still call them Accomplishes. They changed everything, but this is what I use at school. A Baby Lock Accomplish is a great machine for straight stitching 24/7. I use it a lot. I fix them quite a bit. They're pretty good. They hold up really well. I mean, they go through like 5 layers of fabric just fine. They go through 24/7 use just fine, almost 365 days a year. They work great. I think we have very rarely had a like machine go completely down. There's no electronical components to these machines at all, so that is great. However, I will say one thing they are kind of prone to is the knee bars on them. If yours comes with a knee bar, it does have a tendency to kind of fall out, so you have to go screw that back in every so often, and it is a pain, especially when you're teaching a class and these kids like hit it hard. But if you can be careful with that, I would say a Baby Lock Accomplish is great. Honestly, overall, I would say Baby Lock is a pretty good brand to go starting out, especially more moderate. Okay, let's say you're getting industrial with it. I'm gonna always say a good like industrial Juki or an industrial level Singer, like older industrial Singer, even a Sears Kenmore, honestly, I found. Those work really good industrial, like, kind of levels. So let's say you're sewing through lots of fabrics, you're kind of sewing through more leather, more denim, more regularly. I would always say, if you're looking new, a, like, nice Juki, most industrials will always be in a table. My friend has a Singer industrial. She loves it. It's old as dirt, though, so use that with a grain of salt. But typically, older machines, and like once they're set in tables, those are really good. So I will say that. Okay, so let's say you want to buy online. There are many ways to buy like modern machines, so you can buy them online. That's how I got my Singer Heavy Duty. It was a online machine. Bought it off the Singer website, and it arrived in like 3 days. I know you can do that with most machines you can buy online. You can also go to stores, which I will say sometimes the stores are a little more educated. I know Hobby Lobby typically carries machines. Always check like local quilt shops, local like machine shops. Like I know there's a shop near me in my like area that is just pure sewing machines. They get in new stock. They have old stock. Like typically that goes really well. I think Michael's might carry them. I know Walmart does. So if you want to buy new, I'd always look at a local retailer. I know RIP Sears and Joann's, because they used to have a lot of machines too. But look at your local retailers, look online. Also look on like local Facebook groups for like maybe some quilt shops, machine shops. You will find all sorts of places that you didn't know existed when buying stuff. I promise you. Okay, let's say you want to buy maybe a secondhand machine, or you want to find a older model. your best bet would definitely be looking in thrift stores, flea markets, online, and sometimes you can find them through people. But I am going to tell you this, when it comes to buying a secondhand machine, you do gotta be a little more careful. You gotta always ask, hey, can I test this? Can I test if it runs? So when you're buying a secondhand machine, there are typically 2 things you want to test, mainly. I would say there's probably a lot more, but this is for me personally. Check if it turns on, check if it can run forward and backward on feed dogs, and typically that will leave you pretty set. Make sure it doesn't make any weird noises. Personally, I have gotten 2 machines secondhand. I have gotten a Sears 1973 Kenmore Industrial in the table for $30 at a thrift store. She runs beautifully. She just needs a little oil and timing, which that is not horrid to do at all. There is plenty of tutorials online, typically when it comes to older machines, especially how to fix them. And I'm gonna say this, if you buy a machine, always make sure it has metal gears. That is a God-given for me. Metal gears, easy to fix. Okay, another thing, okay, look online for older machines. Because I wish I was kidding. Sometimes people are giving these away for free. Like, their mom has passed away, their grandma has passed away, someone doesn't quilt anymore, they sent to a nursing home. Like, people will donate, like, 10 to 5 machines at a time to our sewing program at the school. And we get, like, crazy amounts. Like, we have gotten 3 embroidery machines, okay? My teacher gifted me one of them. We got secondhand from a guy whose wife went to a retirement home, so she doesn't use them anymore. We have gotten a bunch of like brother sewing machines from people who have like passed away. We got tons of machines just from people like being like, hey, does any person or program want the machine? So always be checking Facebook and local community pages because you might find a pretty good gem there. And typically if it's a older lady who had it, it's probably gonna be pretty decent condition. I'm not saying that is like a goal, but I have found typically if it was like old ladies who just passed away, it's gonna probably still be working because grandma's like quilting. Okay, so here's some standard things I think I would buy with like any machine is always buying like kind of a base kit. Sometimes they have these on their website. So my mom bought me like a Singer base kit for my heavy duty. So what it is, it has a needle threader, it has a bunch of screwdrivers, it has a brush, it has oil, it has a little zit thing. I guess it's more of like a little squeeze it for air to get dust out of stuff. But see if there's a base kit that sells like stuff you need. Typically most machines will come with a little key to change out your needle with. Always buy needles. I will never say buy universal. I always buy like denim leather needles just because I find they go through lots of fabric a lot better. That's for me personally. Universal needles work a lot of time, but I'm always going to say when you buy a machine, look up your machine, figure out what it uses. But most brands also do have a little machine care kit. Always buy oil for your machine. And if they have a warranty, I would honestly buy the warranty because you're going to have stuff go wrong. And it's a lot better to be able to get it fixed, get it replaced if you need to in like your first year. And if it's a new machine, it's better. Another thing you will need if you're buying a machine is a hookup to someone who knows how to fix them. Or if you can figure out how to fix them yourself and you're confident in your abilities, do that. But also another thing you can do if you can't find someone is there's always going to be a local shop somewhere nearby. Okay, there was like 5 local shops in effing nowhere, Midwest. So I think you can find a machine shop. And if you really want to be like me and learn, do it. I'd always recommend learning to fix your own machines because that will be so great, especially if you go secondhand in the long run. Okay, so here's some like not necessities, but nice things to have for a machine would be a like, if it's a non-industrial, so it's not sitting in a table, I'm always going to say like some non-stick feet or mats, keep it from sliding around and scratching up your surface. Another thing I want to say is buy a box of like quilting or sewing pins and then get like a magnetic tray because I'm going to promise you like you're going to just drop them to the side. Even if you have a wrist pin cushion, you're going to have those days. Wrist pin cushions are honestly a great investment. You can make them on your own. They're really easy to make. I'd say those are 2 really good things to have, especially just kind of extra accessories to have. Also, if you buy a home sewing machine, so not in a table, I'd always recommend make sure you have a surface to put it on, have space to put it, and always make sure you have a carrying case for it or a desk cover when you're not using it. So I have a permanent home for my senior heavy duty. It stays in my room on my desk that I made. I have a desk cover it goes in, and then I also have the hard carrying case for if I go abroad, if I'm not home, if I'm taking it with me. Always make sure you have a case for your machine. You should never just leave your machine as is. And then for my Kenmore that I recently bought, I have a little desk cover I have on it right now. Just kind of keep it nicer, cleaner as I'm like fixing up the table and all that. Trying to think of what else would really I need. That's kind of the bases. But no, hopefully you watch this, hopefully it makes sense, and hopefully you kind of understand better how to pick the machine that is right for you personally. Also, I want to say this, I'm not the all-knowing. I'm going to say I probably made a mistake or two in this, and that's okay. I'm always going to say this, take my words with a grain of salt. This is just my experience and suggestions, but also do your own research. And if you are looking into buying a brand new thousands of dollars machine online, look into it. Watch the videos, watch the reviews, and watch more than one. Watch like multiple, and always, I'm telling you, research about your machine and its needs, because that will save you so much in the long run. And remember, old is gold and metal gears. And this is Glamrox signing off.